You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Folks, the playoff season is here, and the only thing better than the game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Food Ball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into food ball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums Food Ball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing times. Visit DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let the heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites, featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok.
You know that sound. It's the sound of money hitting your Venmo account. A friend paying you back. Or maybe it's getting cash back from your favorite business when you pay with the Venmo debit card. Or it's realizing you can pay with Venmo at checkout at thousands of brands. Now, there are so many more ways to answer the question, what's your Venmo? Download Venmo today. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Dosh Cashback terms apply.
Hey folks, it's Mike, and I've listened back to this episode a little bit, and while I think our approach on the mental health discussion that comes up in this episode is right, we do touch on some topics that might trigger some of those in the audience. We do talk about things like self-harm, and I don't want to appear flippant by any of those conversations, so I just want to give a warning to our listening audience here that we do touch on some mental health stuff here, and some of you in the audience may find that triggering, so I just wanted to give you an advance warning.
Dan Le Batard.
I've seen you nude.
Stugotz.
Murray!
20 mediocre years.
I got horses that couldn't fill that thing out.
This is the oral history of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
Really proud and happy that the audience has enjoyed so much this really narcissistic project of ours that now enters its second half here, and I'm encouraging Stugotz during the second half of this. We're going to tackle some stuff here today that is tricky. It's a labyrinth of controversial stuff. It's the stuff that happened at ESPN that ended up with us having a lot of turbulence and leaving ESPN. A lot of stuff that we haven't talked about publicly in any venue that we're going to talk about here. But as we go forward in the second half of this, I am encouraging Stugotz, because I treat all of this as an exercise in healing and introspection. And during the first half, I had to show my ass in some places that are uncomfortable talking about stuff in the interest of giving Mike Ryan an honest platform that can become an oral history that stands the test of time, because it's got warts and all stuff in it. So I am asking Stugotz now, as we embark on the second half, to not make this a Stugotz revisionist history, because I work with a thief and a liar, and he can turn some of these stories into some things that have a lot of charm in them, but I look up after episode 3 and I'm like, wait a minute, did Hawk and I break up because Stugotz was flirting with QAM? Like, what just happened there? What's the truth there?
So again, what's the message to me? What am I supposed to do here in the second half?
Maximum honesty the rest of the way.
Okay, so you're an asshole.
Okay, all right. So let's continue here and find out where it is and how it is I'm an asshole.
One last note on the first half of the oral history, because that's the first time we talked, really, not even publicly, privately, about a lot of these things. And I know our timelines got a little warped, and I appreciate what Dan and Stugotz did in that first half. I think it certainly brought about more questions, but it also brought about answers to some of the show's great mysteries. And I think even the audience gave us some leeway in understanding sometimes breakups can be complicated, breakups can be hard, people hold on to what they remember most about it, and sometimes timelines shift. All that being said, I just wanted to thank you guys for being forthright and embracing this concept, because I know our audience, which we owe everything to, was really appreciative of that and a lot of the stuff we had never addressed before. So it's brave, and I appreciate you guys for doing it.
I'm going to bring it in the second half.
All right, let's go. Because
You're a second half team.
I look forward to what it is that we cover here, because there's a lot of stuff that we've never talked about, as Mike said, not privately amongst each other on what went down here. So I suspect there will be a lot of stuff here that people have not heard and will find interesting if you're as interested in our narcissisms as we are. So where would you like to start with this?
You are. And a reminder to both of you, some of this stuff is tricky. Yes. And some of this stuff we would like to really get into, but some of these things, like as part of our separation agreement with ESPN, we can't get, we're not going to slander folks here. We're just going to tell you how things were and the events that led up to, in this timeline, our eventual separation. But let's go to 2017, which is, man, such a great time in our show. We really have the co-host cooking. We feel really good about our ensemble. We're putting out good work. We're positioned well. ESPN likes us. We're navigating the Kaepernick and Trump stuff to the best of our ability, but something happens. And Stugotz, you were in the studio when the news came. Dan, you were live on the air when the news came. This is when we had text at this point, but you had social media up, and I knew it was just only a matter of time before you saw it for yourself, and I didn't want that to happen on the air. So I remember we were in the middle of a segment. My heart dropped when I saw the news that John Skipper was leaving ESPN. I then went to, I can't have these guys find out on the air and derail a segment. Let me get them to break as early as I can. And I remember vividly, I can feel the button on my fingertip. Talking to Dan in his headset, like, hey, it's going to be out there. Skipper has stepped down. Let's take this thing to break, and we'll talk about it during the break. I remember the look on Dan's face, and what washed over me was the realization that the game's about to change for us here. Stugotz, let me take it over to you first.
Dan was really emotional. I was concerned as well. I wasn't as concerned as I think you were about the relationships with ESPN and what would happen moving forward. Dan had a very unique and great bond, and still does, with John Skipper, and him leaving, I knew wasn't going to be great for our show, wasn't going to be great for us, and as you said, we had just started making some really serious inroads. The show was great. We had our co-host cooking. ESPN liked us. But the guy who liked Dan the most was the guy who was leaving. And I remember just being concerned for Dan because I haven't really seen him that emotional on the air. And he was very, very emotional.
It's funny looking back on it, because I can say with 100% honesty that I legitimately was not considering at that point the impact at us at all. My immediate response, because I was so stunned by it, is what the hell happened here that would mean this person was leaving a position of power that is the most powerful position in all of sports. And furthermore, 2 weeks earlier, I had just sent him a detailed plan of how it is that he could better use Hispanics throughout the company, because I had finally realized that there were some places that I could be helpful around power and helpful in actually doing some of the things that he can execute that I wasn't really understanding that we can execute while I was there, because all I was doing while I was there was making sure that they left us alone. I didn't want to get close to any of the things that would be machinations and power hungry, because the greatest power to me is we're allowed to do what we want to down there. But in the instance, like for there to be tears on my face as that happened, I don't know that I've ever been as stunned by something that I wasn't feeling on behalf of myself. Like it wasn't a feeling of anything other than what just happened to this person. How can I know nothing about this? There's just a note that says there's a resignation and no information. How is it that this is just arriving here now during a show? I was just completely stunned.
Yeah, and that kind of scared me, speaking for myself, because you're right. And we covered it in a previous episode. Your North Star always, when it came to your relationship with John Skipper, was just leave me alone, which is not how people normally flex that muscle when they get close to the boss.
But Mike, I think John Skipper was in charge of everyone else. Leave us alone. That's why they left us alone.
He certainly was. But look, other people have been close to bosses in media, and they use it to accrue incredible amounts of power. What I'm here to say is, like, it's the ask generally when there's a bond that tight is not not just leave me alone. It's what else can I get?
Oh, but the thing that gets misunderstood about this, no matter how many times they explain it to people, is that John and I weren't actually that tight then. Not tight the way that I measure tight, which is, oh, now I'm going to Winston-Salem because you've gotten gone because of a cocaine extortion, and now you need a friend. Now you need somebody during dark times who is actually there for you. That's none of what was hitting me during the moment that you're explaining to us, oh, there goes our protection. It's unusual that you ask me about it now because this was not in my mind something that I was thinking about in any way. How does this affect us tomorrow? It's part of why it is. I was kind of blindsided even with 18 months of warning that ESPN didn't want us because I had not considered the possibility that anybody at ESPN would not want us. I had not considered the possibility of anything other than pleasing employers because it's all I had ever done my entire career. I don't have contentious relationships with employers.
By asking them to leave us alone.
Yeah, well,
but asking us to leave, asking them to leave us alone, and understanding that part of why we were hired is to not be in Bristol, to be different from Bristol, and not unlike the Ride Home production in Washington that would have a cultural difference from the rest of Bristol, at least in part because it existed outside of all of their production rigidities.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the emotion had to be, as you said earlier, that you felt like, along with John, you were kind of molding and shaping ESPN into a place that it really hadn't been in years past, and you were excited about that, and with him leaving, that meant perhaps that would get...
Skipper hired me because he needed Latin representation. We were not friends that way. I was the Latin journalist to hire because he needed the Latin demo, and there weren't other Latin journalists. That was the source of our relationship at the beginning, and my job was then to bring more minorities to the company, to bring more voices to the company and see if we can impact some cultural shift.
Well, I was stunned by it. You have to keep in mind, 2017, this is a time where there was a public reckoning, and a lot of big-time, powerful people were getting called out publicly, and there was just all of this mystery because it was a shock. But I understand where Dan's just programmed that way. Dan, his mind immediately went to, my friend, what's wrong with him? Is he okay? Because at that point...
I thought he might be sick, by the way, just because I don't know what's happening here, right? I just know that...
Sunner.
No one...
I mean, you're absent of details. You're on the air, so it's hard to know. Why would a guy step down from this
No
position?
one gives away this power. This power is only taken from people. It is not given away by people.
But at that point, I had grown more into my role of people will vent about what we talk about to me because they know that they're not to bring it to Dan unless it's a 4-alarm fire. I had already had a pretty good idea of the tensions inside of Bristol with us veering into social issues. Keep in mind, we weren't really talking politics. We were talking about it through the prism of social issues, but that was uncomfortable enough for some over there. So I had a pretty good idea of how many times they would lodge complaints my way about our show, that I was very effective in keeping away from the main show. And a governor for all of that was, provided we don't take personal shots, we don't harp on these things, we're not using our platform to call the president names or his supporters names, like we can navigate this because we have that top line protection. And when I read that blurb, I realize that top line of protection is gone. Who's going to replace him? Does he get to handpick his replacement? Ideologically, will that replacement get what it is that we do? Because John didn't even get what it is that we did. He got what Dan did and what Dan stood for.
Right.
So my mind goes to a million places because we were in a good spot at that point. We were enjoying our boom period. We were the biggest thing in sports radio. We were the biggest thing in sports podcasting at the time. We were getting a better platform on video. We were growing. We were humming. And we had that top line protection. And I knew that that was a variable that was going to change things dramatically because out of all the people that were rumored, at least in-house, the names that I heard, we didn't have much of a relationship with. And Dan, your relationship with John fortified over at ESPN, the magazine, right? As background, because we'll get to the point where you actually go and visit your friend in one of the more troubling times. I don't think we've ever really covered how you became friendly with John and how he identified you as someone that can really change the culture at ESPN. So I'm curious if we can go back to the origins of your relationship with John Skipper.
John Skipper was the business side of ESPN, the magazine, when it was taking down Sports Illustrated within 2 years because they were
when journalism mattered, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. When
the written word, yes.
When magazines mattered, yes, he was the head of their business operations, and they were spending a lot of money to get the best journalists to write the best stories because they wanted to have literary pieces that told sports stories well and competed with Sports Illustrated with educated fans. They wanted to have a classy, distinguished, written thing, and I was the Latin writer that you go get if you want to do that if you're young. And I didn't have much of a relationship with the business side, but I helped grow ESPN, the magazine, and from there, he and I didn't have very much in the way of any kinds of interactions, just social ones, but I saw him grow from that part of the company because it was successful to, top power broker at ESPN. So I knew him when. I knew him at the beginning of whatever was the climb to the meetings with Disney and all that stuff.
But a good amount of people knew him. Were you guys ideologically aligned back then? I can't say
that I knew him very well. I can only say that he was, at the time, he had a problem at ESPN where he was trying to make them have more fun, be more culturally diverse, and couldn't do it with just whatever. The 4,000 employees that he had there that had done it a certain way, lifers, Bristol, Connecticut, the entire economy in Bristol is a tax break so that ESPN can exist there. That entire giant company, he was having trouble influencing the culture, so he hired 7 or 8 people, one of whom was me, because he was trying to build something that had studios in Los Angeles, in New York, in Miami, in Washington, that the worldwide leader in sports would at least represent on television more globally than Bristol, Connecticut.
So let's cut back to the day that announcement comes down. We finish our show. My memories of it are we were kind of in a fog.
I just remember Dan crying, to be honest, yeah.
Dan did cry during the break.
Yeah.
Because he was worried about the person. Mm-hmm. You and I probably shared a moment like, oh shit, what does this mean for us? Yes. Are we afterwards? Who do you think gets it? Like, we were just already workshopping who would be next in line.
I'm legitimately embarrassed by that reaction, by the way.
Why?
It was human.
I'm legitimately embarrassed that what ended up happening there is that somebody leaves the company, and because my reaction is an instant, stunned, tearful one, people assume that it was about an assortment of different things that it wasn't about.
I assume that.
Yeah.
When I say I'm embarrassed, I'm at a microphone. I'm a communicator. I've been stunned by something, and my ability to meet that moment to articulate what it is that happened to me, I felt at a loss for words.
The president of ESPN has resigned, and sent out a statement. And I'm sorry. I just want to know that he's okay.
Take your time, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm just learning of this now, okay? And this is this is the reason that I work here. And so I don't know what's coming. I don't know what this is, but I know I look like it and sound like a fool right now. But I want you to understand something, and I don't know what's coming. Like, I don't know if this is, I haven't talked to him, so I don't know how he's doing. And I care about him, but just so that you understand, this person has created everything that exists here at ESPN for us. And he did it because of how he cares about minorities and their causes. And so I'm just sort of shocked and hurt, and I am sorry I'm reacting this way, and I don't know what damage I'm doing in reacting this way, but so that's straight talk. So that's where we are.
All right, that is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network.
Perhaps we could have done that better. Admittedly, perhaps we could have done that better.
Let it breathe just a little bit.
What am I supposed to do there?
But it can't all be content. It can't all be content. My vulnerabilities, they're out in front of you. You can't be trusted with them. They can't be sponsored.
What better way to communicate what it is you were feeling than crying, though? I mean, it was one of your finest moments.
Well,
I thought it was.
If you're a blogger, you're seizing on that.
I know.
Optics-wise.
And if you're caring about what bloggers are seizing on, you're a moron.
Wait a minute. No. We're
about to have a moment where the bloggers have a field day on
Stugotz,
Dan and his humanity.
Stugotz, when you are Disney and you are ill-prepared, as I was, as Skipper was, as everybody was, for the cultural revolution revolution that is coming, that Disney is too woke, Le Batard is too woke, Skipper is too woke, don't want minority voices, don't want women telling me about sports, want SEC football. No, it was the culture war arrived at my doorstep. I was unprepared for it and surprised by it.
You have the public reckoning of the Me Too movement and cancel culture. I mean, it sounds silly now, but cancel culture feeling more like a real thing there. Simultaneously, you have Donald Trump in office, who is running counterculture to what is happening in the public space, but there is a very public reckoning going on over there. So there's a lot of things happening in this moment in time, and Dan gets chewed up a little bit by the conservative news media cycle, which is doing pretty well running on the ESPN is woke wagon, and our show is certainly figured into that equation. So Dan, walk us through the rest of your day. I don't know if you try to reach out to John Skipper. I know a couple of days later, you are photographed in the Carolinas with John Skipper, and there are bloggers that run wild with speculation as to what you're doing there. After you find out this news, when do you get in touch with John? When do you set up, hey, I'm going to come over there. You look like you could use a friend in this moment.
So I don't think it was a couple of days later. I'm going to say that it was the Christmas holidays, if I have this right. It felt like we were around the holidays, and that was the next time that I would have time to say to him, I'll go wherever it is you are. What do you need? Do you need somebody, anything? What's going on? And so I end up going to Winston-Salem, and when I'm there, we go to dinner at a bar at 4:30, and we sit at the bar. He has a martini, and now after meeting with a group of people, saying hello to them, they're big fans, spending 30, 45 minutes with them.
You did an appearance?
I did an appearance, and then they took pictures of me and sent them to Shitstain, and Shitstain published them. And what had become something that over 10 years was a silly thing that I laughed at, which is, what is this Breitbart thing? What is this Tea Party thing? How do they keep grabbing every time I'm celebrating a black athlete being, demonstrative? How are they politicizing all that? What does it mean? Now I'm in the middle of the wars where, look at this guy, cocaine guy, drinking, celebrating, when only reason I was there, like I was legitimately hurt by what happened there because I was trying to do a good thing for a friend, and then I was trying to do good things for fans who were liking that they were interacting with us, and then somebody sent a picture that made it look like I'm out partying with John Skipper after he's left the company.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The reasons why John stepped down weren't public knowledge, weren't even internal knowledge at that point. You might have known that.
I did not know that. No,
Okay.
I did not know.
So there's all this speculation running rampant, and you're photographed at a bar. So people did
Which
take
is
that
an odd place to be.
People
Right.
took that opportunity to say, look, here's Dan Le Batard enabling John Skipper. What's going on here?
And it'd be deserved if that's what was happening, but that's not what was happening. There was a person in need that I am not yet really friends with, who it seems like they're going through a pretty difficult time, might be lonely, might be shameful. How can I be helpful here? It's not something I've done before. There are not many circumstances in which I would do something like this. And what I'm telling everyone is, this is not an act of friendship. It's not even an act of loyalty. I was grateful that this man did what he did for us. Hard stop.
Anyone who knows you knows that you would make that kind of trip to be that kind of support for someone who is a friend, but not a good friend. So you're saying you did it because you felt like he needed somebody and because he had supported us for as many years as he did?
I get what you're getting at.
Right.
And you're kind of speaking for the audience here.
Well, I
and-
want them to get to know Dan because Dan would do something like that.
Well, and we're also speaking for like the Breitbarts of the world that ran with this. Like, what are Dan's ulterior motives? This is a guy that just stepped down from the sporting world's most powerful position.
Right. John Skipper can no longer help us.
Right,
yes.
at his lowest point. And
Yes.
at that point, being so fresh, no one knows if John Skipper is approaching retirement age. There isn't really a power play here for Dan. And if there were, we've already established plenty that Dan had power and all he did with it was say, leave me alone. So this is not a guy that's grabbing for power. This is a genuine human moment. When do you learn that this photo of you started circulating on the internet? Was it there? Was it while you were in the Carolinas?
It was that night. We went back to his home, dark, haunted, cold, an hour after that, 6 p.m. Like, it's not out partying. It's just, and it's deep wounding on me. Like, I'm hurt by what it is that's just been done here because I'm like, oh my God, that's so dirty.
Betrayed by the fans that you were so kind to.
Just all of it. Just not just that, just all of it.
Well, I don't talk to people.
Just all of it
Or
was
take pictures.
felt dirty and hurtful. You'll summon that feeling right back on me now. Like, I remember calling my wife walking through the airport, just just sort of not feeling my legs really because of how hurt I was on how something that was well-intentioned could turn into watching him take a bunch of calls with ESPN PR and everything else. And then all of a sudden it's that dance where inside of the machine where this thing gets weaponized in order to hurt, it landed. It landed in a place that hurt.
Were you surprised? For the reasons he stepped down, the extortion, were you surprised just knowing him the way you?
Yeah, of course.
You found out the whole story, I guess.
I don't remember how I found out, but all of the details on that. Yes, I did not know that cocaine or extortion or any of that was something that was in any way in play.
Were you upset with him? Disappointed?
I mean, yeah.
That's human.
But I'm not terribly judgmental
No,
that
you're an
way.
empath.
You do the show with me.
But I'm just,
It's a Tuesday for Stu.
I'm tired.
Disappointed.
Certainly in the primetime days.
It's my fourth show.
Not judging it though. I guess disappointed, but not disappointed because of human frailty or weakness. Just disappointed because this all sucks.
Yeah.
Like this used to be good a few minutes ago, and now this sucks.
Yeah, can confirm it did start sucking.
It sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew just the way that a corporate entity like Disney works that it would be a while before they named a replacement, and the way that we had seen plenty of management types come and go already over at ESPN. Everyone assumes a holding pattern until the new person shows up, and it took a little bit of time.
Yeah, I applied for the job.
I don't doubt it. We navigate the holidays, and then it's announced that Jimmy Pitaro is replacing John Skipper. I didn't really know Jimmy at all. I asked Dan if he knew Jimmy. There wasn't an existing relationship, but Dan, at this point, you are one of ESPN's marquee personalities. You have their top digital audio property, their top, Mike and Mike are still going at this time, I believe. So not the Cadillac, but pretty damn close, and highly questionable as a linchpin of their afternoon programming. How soon was it before you heard from Jimmy Pitaro?
Again, you're asking me to parse through some details that I don't remember and didn't think enough to think important at the time, because you have to understand that even with 18 months of warning, I was still somewhat blindsided by everything that happened at the end at ESPN, at least in part because Mike had done such a good job of insulating me from actually knowing how problematic any of what we were doing was, Stugotz, because I don't know what was falling on Mike, but in retrospect, I'm guessing we're going to get into some stuff that a lot was falling on Mike that was too much for Mike to handle, because the number one job of Mike since back through Hawk is protect Dan.
Yeah. Well, in 2018, I'm going through a lot, and it's not just work. In fact, work was actually worse a couple of years before, probably a year and a half before we covered that, the Fusion stuff, the other studio. And I told you in a previous episode, I was writing checks that I was about to cash. I'm cashing them around this time. So it's not, for me personally, not a great time for me whatsoever. I'll tell the audience, I am having a really difficult time at this point with my own mental health and learning what that means. I was suffering real burnout. I was adrenally fatigued, and I was running out of answers. I had loads of questions and I didn't understand what was going on, and I was in a desperate search to identify what was going on. But for the audience, I had in my mind a callous against therapy and medication for these things because of my history with my mother, who ultimately passed away because of her addiction to prescription meds and abusing the system. And she would go to anyone and everyone who would write her a prescription for these things. And a lot of those houses along Bird Road, those standalone homes that are also clinics, my mom hit every single one of those up. And so I had formed quite a bit of resentment towards mental health ailments and my mother as well at that point. And I had always done so well at that point in my life in pushing things down that human body and the brain is kind of like a dam. Once one thing squirts out, and for me it was work. That was a thing that got me. The entire integrity, the architectural integrity of what's going on just breaks and collapses. And that was all happening to me in that moment. So
what was it about the work though? Because I remember talking to you quite a bit on the phone.
Yeah. So Dan and I have talked this out. Dan, in an effort to get me better, because I was really struggling upholding our standard and also being a people person and managing people. I was growing into that role.
This job, both of our jobs, come with a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
so I understood what it is you were going through.
I had a really high standard, and Dan This is going to sound messed up, because in part it was. Dan canvassed it all. He probably asked you a couple of questions. Ways to get Mike better, like as a more effective leader, as a better manager of people. But what had ended up happening was Dan compiled like a 17-page dossier of the worst fucking things you can imagine about me. And there was no positives. It was all critiques. A lot of them were just flat out lies. A lot of them I can tell who they were coming from. A lot of people I could identify their resentments there. I was on a hammock in the Keys and I was cracking and I saw this email come in and it rocked my world. Rocked my world. There was no coming back from it. That was a vacation that I later went to Oregon to watch Jack White, and I was at a Jack White concert and I was front row and he was killing it. And he's my favorite artist. And I left the concert early because I was like, I don't deserve this. And I don't know what any of these feelings mean. So I finally crack and I'm like, let me talk to somebody so I can figure out what's going on. After I talked to a therapist, I started identifying everything that's going on in my life. And once you give it a name, it has to get worse before it gets better. And that's what happened to me. I am becoming more aware of what those things, realizing that I had actually been dealing with anxiety and depression all my life, just not knowing it. Realizing that the tingling in my fingers, the palpitations, the shortness of breath, all of that is tied into my mental health. The GI issues. At this point, my stomach was a fucking mess. I had a couple of colonoscopies at that point. And I just couldn't identify it. And then I realized that this was all a byproduct of stress. Keep in mind, work was the first thing that went out. I had personal life issues going, like my wife and I were dealing with stuff. And then on top of this, every time I opened that studio door in the Clevelander, I was armed with the knowledge that everybody truly resented me because I had seen their honest thoughts or thoughts that Dan had pushed. Like, no, let's really give it to him so we can get out of this.
Mike needs to hear it.
Yeah,
right.
Which when I told my therapist about it, she thought Dan was batshit crazy because this is a terrible exercise.
Mine too.
Well, just to be clear, though, that the way that all of that came to be is just because the tensions with Mike in the room were such that
bad.
I simply wanted to go around the entirety of the room, get everyone's thoughts, present them to Mike, not as something that was presented from one voice, but how do we make all of this better? So what Mike is receiving is a 17-page dossier of all the things that he's done wrong is really just something meant to be, hey, Mike, can you help me fix this? Are you aware that these are the issues that some people have with you? Version I wrote, I thought was the soft one.
Oh, you made some edits, huh?
It wasn't meant.
Wow.
It wasn't meant to rip him. Look, man, I've seen Shannon Sharp.
It's a terrible idea, by
I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about this, saying like working for me is not for everybody. Like working for Mike and me and what it is that we wanted to do there in terms of sharpening the standard is not for everybody. And there were plenty of resentments in an environment that had a lot of feelings in it, and feelings don't matter as much as making the thing right so that the people want to listen to it.
So I remember like my first day back, because it was like I got that over like a 2.5 week break, and I was just standing outside the main studio door, like terrified to open.
Not wanting to walk in.
I didn't want to walk in. It was a place I wanted to be in the least. And it was like, you know that great movie with Roddy Piper, They Live, where he put on the sunglasses?
There's no great movie with Roddy Piper.
They Live is. I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick some ass, and I'm all out of chewing gum.
No, you're making it sound great now.
Yeah. Well,
That's your kind of movie.
He puts on these glasses.
Watch it after
John
this.
Carpenter directed it. He puts on these glasses and he sees like all these ghouls that are hiding in plain sight. And like for like 6 months, I had the Roddy Piper sunglasses on. And so like I knew like I was being fake with people. I was also like, again, through therapy, I learned how I would self-medicate would be through caffeine. Caffeine, as many people now know because the mental health conversation is more public and more well-known, not a good thing for anxiety and depression. Exacerbates all that stuff. But for me as a performer, and those who listen to the local hour in 2017 know this, I was doing 8 Red Bulls a day. I was talking really fast. I was masking a lot of insecurities. I was also masking the fact that I knew everyone around me hated me, which probably wasn't accurate at that time. People probably in a vacuum had plenty of nice things to say about me too, but all I saw was resentment. And I just felt like shit for a very long time. And this actually leads, this is quite the, but I knew I would have to talk about this at a certain point. I'm cracking. Dan knows that I'm cracking. I pulled Suicide 2, and he knows that I'm cracking. He knows some of the things that led to me cracking. My life was hell at this point. There was a lot of things going sideways. And I also pulled members of the shipping container and had individual meetings with all of them to try to explain why my behavior is erratic, what happened was. So around 2018, this is all coming to a head. And my therapist, God bless her, she taught me how to identify these things, and she wanted me in the worst way to evacuate from a stressful situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that really isn't an option. for me because I'm live on the air. And she told me the next time you're in this situation, you remove yourself from that situation. Me, in an effort to give myself over to this thing that I have all sorts of questions about and not fully trusting, I am giving myself over to this process, want to follow her instruction. This is professionally just about the worst thing I've ever done, but I'm following my therapist's advice. In 2018, I'm having a really rough day. Keep in mind, we're launching the Le Batard and Friends network at this time, and a lot of the feedback that I got in that dossier was that I was handing my work off to other people, that I was just delegating all this, which wasn't really true. But okay, I took that to heart. So I see that feedback, and then I just decide I'm going to put everything on my shoulders. And so for the entire network, keep in mind all the shows that we launched with, I am EPing every single one of those. Those who are familiar with my editing style, I'm meticulously edit. I don't have a free moment in my life at this point. I have a furnace and I'm just putting more coals in it and I'm burning myself out. So I have that happening, and I heed my therapist's advice. I'm having a really rough morning. Quite frankly, I shouldn't have been in that day. I never did this ever, which is also following my therapist's advice, which was tell Dan and Stu how you're feeling that day so they know to be careful around you. And I did. And Dan and I had a contentious back and forth on the air where I tried to correct him on something. I don't even remember what it was. And Dan pushed on me. And from my perspective, I was like, God damn you, Dan. Like, I told you. When do I ever do this?
Not today.
I told you. Out of all the days, like, not today. Why are you trying me like this? And it's starting to bubble over. And I just say, all right, I'm going to leave. And Dan says, okay, go. And this is like in the middle of a commercial break. Yeah. I just up and leave the studio.
I was mad at you.
Everybody was. Yeah. Everybody was, because they don't know the backstory. They don't know that I'm following a therapist's advice.
Let me clear that up for a second. I was mad at you because Lord knows I have had my share of really shitty days doing this show, sitting next to Dan, but I stayed put.
Yeah, I
was mad at you for that reason.
Yeah, I would have stayed put, but I'm giving myself over in an effort to get better to what my therapist wants, no matter my own apprehensions. So,
to be fair to me, by the way, I've had my share of shitty days sitting next to everybody and also stayed put. Like,
mine have been shittier.
We've been together.
Well, this is what I kind of hate about revealing
totally
this.
Sure, we've been together 20 years. There's a lot of shit here, and
only one of us is being called a dumbass on a daily basis.
I understand, because I would label it too. I would couch that. Like, I've had plenty of shitty days. There were plenty of shitty days I toughed it out through during that stretch. I'm following my therapist's advice. This is like against my better judgment.
Right.
I am giving myself over to that. And I understood the pitfalls of making that decision then and there. I leave. I try to explain as best I can on my way out. Like, I have to go. I can't be in this situation. I'm not in the right headspace. No one in the shipping container really understands what I'm going through at the time, so they are just flabbergasted by this. I get up and leave. I remember I call my wife and I say, hey, I told my wife everything, and I told her about like my therapy sessions, and I told her about like that one thing that my therapist had been harping on. Like, if you're in a really stressful situation, evacuate. I'm like, I did it. I know Dan's going to try to call me, know that I'm okay. I'm just going to shut my phone off. I know that this is probably going to change my career forever, but I'm at peace with that because I'm committed to getting right. And I told her, people are probably going to call you. Just know that I'm okay. I just don't want to deal with it. I need my phone off. I don't need that trigger. I walked the beach for like 40 minutes because at that point, like, I figured out that water really helped me through those things. Then I drove home and I got a haircut. I was just going through my day, and I was surprised to learn that with my phone off, I wasn't constantly reminded of what had happened. I had already made sure that my wife wasn't worried, and I got all the serenity that I needed from that moment. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty cool data point.
You did answer one call that day.
No.
My call.
Oh, well, later on.
Yes.
Well, I got home.
No, I begged you to call Dan.
Yeah, I got home, and even though I had called my wife telling her, look, people may reach out to you, everyone I had come to learn over the course of the 2 hours that no one could reach me was really scared for me because I was doing something totally out of character, and they didn't have the benefit of the call that I gave my wife, which is, hey, I swear I'm good. Right. People are going to jump to all sorts of conclusions here. I'm not suicidal. I'm sorry if that's a trigger warning. I'm not going to harm myself. I'm not going to go to a bar. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I wasn't really doing any of that stuff then. I'm just going to unplug and get away from this really terrible environment for me. No one else had that background knowledge. So everyone was well within their rights to freak out, to worry. Forever changed my relationship with the shipping container after that day. Forever changed my relationship with you guys because you guys had never seen that part of me. You guys knew that I was going through something. At that point, I was very emaciated. I was down to like 205 pounds because the constant anxiety and depression that I had was just burning crazy calories.
And not that I don't know that you were necessarily drinking too much. I wouldn't suggest that. But you were learning, just like you were learning that caffeine could be something around anxiety. Any amount of drinking is like lighter fluid. fluid around that in terms of making someone sad.
Right. I had pretty good knowledge because I lost my uncle to alcoholism and I lost my mom to drug addiction. And I knew that if I ran away from my problems, went to my favorite bar, had a drink, that I would feel immediate relief. But I had good enough governors in place to know, like, if I feel too good, I got to get out of there too, because the next morning I'll feel depressed.
You'll feel worse.
Yeah, I never had an issue with drinking, but it was soothing in ways that I was aware of and afraid of because I guess genetically I might have that in me. But no, I left the studio and got a haircut, pretty lame. But then I finally spoke to my wife, who had been getting direct calls from you, Dan, and she got freaked out over the course of 2 hours.
I was calling her relentlessly. Can we just try to laugh at this a little? You can't storm out of the studio and go get a haircut.
I didn't immediately. Okay. I did walk the beach for 40 minutes.
Okay, well,
then I got a haircut.
Right.
Funnier though,
I mean, you just gotta you gotta go get fucked up. You gotta go.
It makes for a better story.
You gotta go on vacation. Yeah. You gotta just get
Club
away.
Deuce was right there.
I mean, a little walk on the beach and a haircut.
Great bar to be sad and just have a drink by yourself.
I know, but you left me alone with him for a walk on the beach and a haircut. He was emotional. He was a wreck.
No, I left, and there was an explosion behind me, and that explosion could have very well been my career at that point. Thankfully, it wasn't.
I don't know why you would think that. There aren't those kinds of consequences
he thought it.
Around anything that we do. Like, that's not...
I'm at ESPN.
Dan, he's in a bad place. You have everyone writing bad things about him. I mean, he asked you not to poke him. You poked him. He walks out. He's in a bad place. And he broke one of the cardinal rules of doing a live show. Don't walk out on the show. He walked out on me and you. And Mike, when I talked to him, was nervous that you were going to get rid of him.
Okay, this wasn't 790. This wasn't the independent days. Like, I had left an ESPN management position in the middle of my shift.
Yes.
With no plan in the back. But that's how it would work at ESPN.
All right.
We're not saying that's how it worked with us. That's how it works in big corporations.
Okay, but I know how I was experiencing what it is that we are talking about. I don't have the recollection. I have some of this information, right? I know Mike is going through it. I don't remember the particulars of Mike needing a relief there or me having to be gentle wherever Mike is. I would tell you that at that point, I had gotten to the point, wherever it is that we had been frustrated after the fusion stuff and everything else, that I was trying to fix our environment and the feelings in our environment by bringing to my chief management guy some of the issues and feelings that the other people we care about have about our environment. And as you're saying that Mike is lame for going off and getting a haircut, the oral history movie of this becomes even lamer when you see him getting a haircut and I'm on the second floor of the Clevelander on the carpet, sitting down, sobbing because I think he's going to harm himself, calling his wife and talking to her about, are you sure he's okay? Because this is so out of character that I'm worried if he's not answering his phone, if he's left, if he's got all this other stuff going on, if also...
Probably some guilt going on.
So now I'm pissed at you because I'm dealing with all this shit back at the studio and you're getting a trim? Like, are you kidding me?
It's just great.
It's a great haircut.
When you think of it, it is great. The idea of his career might be over, or his boss, quote unquote, is sobbing because he thinks he might hurt himself because others in his environment has hurt his feelings.
Yeah. I did have...
It's a real Western we're making here.
It's a real fucked up family here, man.
I did have some regret for putting Dan through that, no doubt. But at the same time, I'm like...
How about me?
Fucking told you guys that morning.
You sent me a text.
I told you guys.
Listen, you sent me a text. I don't know where you were, but you said, Stu, you're the only one on the show who loves me. I mean, and so, how about me?
Yeah, I couldn't tell from that dossier which of the complaints were yours.
I didn't write anything, I don't think.
I don't think I asked Stugotz.
You didn't.
I went around the room. I don't think Stugotz was any of the sources source material.
I would have finished it.
Look, I have a lot of ownership from the error of my ways. I could have talked better to people, especially younger people at the time, about I couldn't really communicate what the standard was. A lot of the stuff was living in my head, and I just wasn't a good manager. I wasn't a great communicator. I wasn't great with emails. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people had 17 pages worth of critiques for me. I will say that even though we had those critiques, at this point, we were arguably the biggest thing in sports in terms of content.
Yes.
So I'm not justifying my actions. I'm just saying, like, my standard being upheld did have us at a certain level, and my standard was Dan's standard. I was just fully indoctrinated in what Dan's standard was, and it was my job to keep all that away from Dan, know that people were upholding his standard, but interpersonally, it did cause some strife and some resentment, some stuff that I'm still trying to dig myself out of today. It did leave me in a bit of a pickle with ESPN. To circle back to the main narrative of this episode, I thought I'd get suspended at the very least from ESPN. ESPN was supportive of me. I reported directly to Liam and Amanda. They had known for quite some time that I was not going well.
How'd they know?
I was honest with them. They would ask me how I'm doing. I had a trip to London. That was the lowest part of my life. It was a great trip. I went for Boxing Day. I went with my friend Eves and Chris Whittingham, and we had a wonderful trip, but I was a fucking mess. And there was one night I came home to the flat. I was in the shower, and next moment I was on the floor, hyperventilating, crying, looking at pictures of my family, wondering what the fuck is going on with me. I'd called Dan. I'd reached out to Dan. I'm like, Dan, I don't know what's going on with me. I think I have to go to a hospital. Here, I was prepared to check myself in to a mental health facility across the pond because I was just in loads of despair. So Dan had also known. This was prior to me walking out. Mm-hmm. This was a catalyst of me really fucking trying to dig in and help myself because I couldn't live that way. I never once ever thought about self-harm. I always knew that I could get through it. But at that point, I was out of answers and I didn't have a playbook and I didn't know how to identify these things that were going on. So I came back and those in my family knew, Dan knew. I let Liam and Amanda know that, look, I don't even know if I should be here right now, but I'm seeking this treatment. And ESPN didn't really have those programs in place for me. They were supportive of it, but this was a different time. And they found out about that. And, they knew that I could have handled that a lot better, but they backed me up. And Liam had been executive producer of Mike and Mike, a different standard, but he knew. And he was also overseeing our show for a time. So he knew the stuff that I was keeping away from Dan and the pressure cooker that I was under. So he was very comforting in that moment. And I had support in the right places. And I also had support from Dan, even though he's, crying on the floor, thinking that he might have been the catalyst for something really awful. It was coming from a good place. He was caring. All of this stuff came from Dan caring about me in ways that no one had ever really cared about me in my life. I didn't have that relationship with my dad. I certainly didn't have that relationship with my mother, who had long since passed. This was Dan. Everything was Dan caring in ways that no one had ever really cared for me outside of my wife. And I knew that if Dan was approaching me on that level, I could resent like little actions here or there. I could resent like little triggers. I could resent the dossier, but I never once ever doubted where they were coming from, which was to get me to be the best version of myself across the board. So Dan and I, even though we had that moment there where I eject and Dan has his own emotional breakdown, we were good.
Probably closer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think then and there, Dan had a pretty good idea of what was living inside my head, and it did make us closer, having gone through that. It wasn't an expected result, but I'm grateful for it. Because he could have fired me. He could have. He had the power at ESPN.
Never a consideration, Mike. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
He could have, though.
I mean, that's what goes through your mind when Mike's going through it. Yeah, we talked about it.
What Stugotz, you guys had my back in ways after you saw something totally out of character for me. Mm-hmm. Totally out of character for me.
But probably creates in the room some preferential treatment of how does he get away with that when, like...
I'm thinking about walking out right now. I mean, getting a haircut, walk on the beach.
I don't know what the content of that note is. It didn't seem like 17 pages, but it was probably long. I don't know how any of the people, maybe we'll hear from them on how they experienced any of...
It was 4 pages, felt like 17 to Mike.
I mean, but again, though, it's just stuff that had never been...
It was one of those where I'd scroll and I'd just land on a certain word and I'd scroll again. And
there was never a good word.
Stugotz, but think about what I'm trying to do there. I'm interviewing the people in the shipping container for 60 to 90 minutes. Okay, tell me everything that I need to bring to Mike so that this can all be something that feels a little bit better to everybody, right? Tell me what I don't know.
I know what you're doing, but that's some real Bond villain shit. Like it.
You're lucky he forgave you.
So he doesn't know how to manage people. I don't know how to manage people. Now I'm getting involved in the management of people to help him manage people.
Yeah.
Well, you managed him. You helped him.
I'm better for it, and I had to kind of spiral for a little bit to realize like how to avoid it, because I was on a path where it was just totally unsustainable. Like physically, it was manifesting.
Well,
over
what
me.
changes did you make? Because I think for all three of us, right?
Yeah, well, I should
and
take
for
this...
Billy and for Chris. Like, at times, and I'm really protective of Chris and Billy because I saw what happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of the stuff that I personally went through. Because we all put content first. The show comes first. The show came ahead of my family. I have regrets over that.
Yeah.
I have spoken to people about some of that stuff. And so what changes did you make after that? Did you find yourself putting family first before the show?
I found...
Yourself first?
No, I definitely... Look, I had to keep working, especially as 2018, 2019, I guess we'll kick some of this down to the next episode, but...
Really's become a mental health episode out of nowhere.
It is, and I kind of should take this opportunity to speak to the audience, and that I'm kind of sharing this because God bless Tony Reale. By the way, I don't make it through any of that without Tony Reale, and I've never let that be known publicly because I was going through a lot of stuff that I knew he had gone through, and I...
Not work-related.
No, but I was just grasping at anybody. And Tony Reale, who I didn't have this great relation, we just knew each other.
It's funny where you find it, huh?
Admirer of his work. But I had enough mutual friends that told me that, Tony was his salt of the earth guy. And I flew up to New York just to see Tony. I think I ended up having really bland carnitas at Will Kane's house on this trip, too.
Oh, that's odd.
It's a good name for a book. Really bland carnitas at Will Kane's
What
house.
happened to Will Kane?
He's still going. He's still flourishing, Stugotz. You just don't watch those channels.
Yeah, Will was actually a friend of mine at that point, and we are no longer friends.
FS1?
But Tony Reale, and I know he kind of shies away from this stuff, Tony Reale was a lifesaver for me in terms of normalizing and see, this guy operates at a high level. I have immense respect for him. He works in this highly creative environment, and you would never know what was going on with his life until he took the opportunity to share some of that stuff. And I knew how powerful it was to see someone that had gone through similar things give voice to it. How does this guy have it all together? So I went to him in a quest to find out how he did. So you asked me what I did. I talked to people that had gone through therapy. I then found my own therapist. I identified my triggers through therapy. I identified ways to deal with that. Sometimes it was leaving. Sometimes it was going to water. You know how some people visualize water? I learned through that, through many failed attempts at meditation in an effort to get better, that I wasn't good at meditating. I had to literally go to water because I couldn't visualize it. I guess my mind was racing. Breathing exercises. I took breathing classes. Ultimately, and this is not the path for everybody, I dealt with bad anxiety and stress through 2022. And then ultimately, and this isn't the answer for everybody, despite my own hesitance, I spoke to a doctor. I had already been clinically diagnosed for depression. I had always said, no, I don't want any of that stuff because of my mom's addiction history. And then I got on Lexapro, which my doctor talked me into because ultimately there were some cases of people that had gone through the full treatment of Lexapro and had dosed down and followed doctors' orders when it came to that stuff and could eventually conquer it and not need the medication altogether. So it wasn't a high percentage, but I wanted to try that as opposed to just popping a pill, a Xanny, whenever I felt anxiety because I didn't want that dependency. I'd identified that having a bourbon on the rocks made me feel better. I didn't want that in pill form.
Stugotz, when you think about the cost of things, the tax, the price on some of what it is that we've done around here, Mike Ryan did not learn to be an executive by any of the traditional executive paths. He just sort of learned how to do those things in and around us conquering at the beginning an anger problem on wherever it is these feelings were pushed down and then came up, and him and I having the back and forth of that can't be what we have here, to growing into this space where he is now, as an executive, vastly more patient and understanding than I am because he has gone through what some of these things are to sharpen him and harden him into somebody who could grow on the other side of what was profound pain.
Yeah. In the next episode, we'll talk about the beginning of the end.
Lighten it up, huh?
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Now taxes are 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you're a first-time filer or didn't file with TurboTax last year. That's right. Just do your own taxes in the TurboTax app by February 18th. Had a few jobs last year? It's free. Have a lot of forms? Yep, still free. Have a bunch of new invisible crypto coins? Heads up, it's still free. Convince you saw Bigfoot even if your friends don't believe you. Then that has absolutely nothing to do with taxes, but you better believe it's still absolutely free. Just download and do your own taxes in the TurboTax app by February 18th. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now, this is taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live. Must start and file in app by February 18th.
Hey there, wellness warriors. If you're like me, you've given a lot of thought to how to improve your health and wellness routine this year. I've started stretching more, do a little mindfulness and meditation every day, try to clear my mind, make my body feel right. Take your health routine to the next level with the magic of contrast therapy. Meet our new amazing sponsor, Redwood Outdoors. They're making it easy to bring the benefits of saunas and cold plunges right to your backyard. A Redwood Outdoors backyard sauna seats 2 to 8 people, where you can relax, unwind, and enjoy all the benefits like reduced muscle tension, improved sleep, and glowing skin. And it doesn't stop there. Redwood Outdoors' invigorating cold plunge helps to boost circulation, sharpen your focus, and leave you feeling absolutely revitalized. Whether it's detoxing deeper, reducing inflammation, or connecting with loved ones in moments of peace, Redwood Outdoors has you covered. Enhance your physical and mental wellness routines with Redwood Outdoors. Take advantage of special savings today. Visit redwoodoutdoors.com, use code DAN to save $175. That's redwoodoutdoors.com, code DAN to save $175 on your order. redwoodoutdoors.com, code DAN.
Hey friends, Jeremy here, and like a lot of you, I imagine, I'm someone who has multiple jobs, wearing multiple hats, working all sorts of different hours throughout the week, and it can be kind of exhausting. Did you know that sleep is actually one of the most important parts of recovery? Whether you're a pro athlete or you're just looking to crush your day, getting the right kind of rest is key, and that's where Sleep Number smart beds come in. Because since 2018, Sleep Number has partnered with the NFL to help elite athletes get the quality sleep they need to perform at their best. In fact, 80% of NFL players sleep on a Sleep Number smart bed. That's unbelievable. Tough workout? The Sleep Number smart bed can be adjusted to suit your needs. Firmer one night, softer the next, giving you the ultimate recovery boost. And let's talk about those sweaty, sleepless nights. I know they happen a lot here in South Florida. Well, the new Climate Cool smart bed adjusts up to 15 degrees cooler on either side with scientifically designed cooling programs to keep you comfortable and undisturbed. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? So you can choose your ideal comfort on either side. And now save 40% on the new special edition smart beds. Ends Monday. Shop a Sleep Number store near you. Sleep Number, official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. See store or sleepnumber.com for details.
Rob, were you aware of Jeter's plan to trade players and slash payroll?
You know, it's interesting.
Yes or no, please?
Don't.
Yes or no, please?
I'm happy to do yes or no's.
You can elaborate afterward. I just want to know if you were aware of that plan. Like, did you approve a plan that had slash payroll again for South Florida?
We do not approve operating decisions by any ownership, new owners, current owners, or not. And as a result, the answer to that question is no. I'm not going to be deposed like this is some adversary thing. You want to ask me questions, I'll answer them the way that I want to answer them.
Okay, but
if that's not
fine.
Good enough, we can move on.
Who is Bruce Sherman? Who is he, and why was he approved? Because all the bids came in low on cash.
That's actually not true. I mean, I know you keep saying these things on the radio, but you have no idea what the cash was in this deal. The fact of the matter is, this club, after the transaction, had the same amount of debt as it had pre-transaction.
Rob, I know that part. The reason I interrupt you is because I think you cared more about that $1.2 billion asking price than you did about the fans of South Florida.
Yeah, well, can I tell you something? You actually have no idea what I care about and don't care about. The fact of the matter is, a competitive club in each one of our 30 markets is my foremost concern.
Rob, you got a problem here now, though, because you're not going to have many fans. They want to get the revenue up. They're not going to be able to get the revenue up because of the hostility in this market, because this has happened 4 times.
I believe that they are committed to winning, and, it's going to take some time to see who's right about it.
All right, yeah, I don't. I believe they're committed to making money, and I believe you've made it very easy for them to make money whether they have fans or not. And I don't know that that's refutable.
Let me be really clear about that. If you believe it's easy to make money in South Florida with Major League Baseball, you are really dramatically ill-informed.
I know, but I don't understand. The stadium was supposed to. Yeah, Jeffrey Loria just made $1.2 million, and he bought in for $10 million.
He made over $1 billion, Commissioner.
All right, we got to go. I'm sorry, Commissioner. We're 10 minutes past time. Thank you I appreciate you being respectful. Thank you, sir.
All right, bye.
Rob. You're too astute. I'm getting cranky. You've seen the books, and that drives me wild. I know your boss. I'm gonna call him. I'll send chills up and down his spine. I'm just a Manfred boy.
Manfred boy.
I keep playing coy.
Playing coy.
I'm just a Manfred boy.
Manfred boy.
Evasive, yo soy.
Yo, soy.
You got me hot. Questioning cheater. You stupid geek. Not here to get deposed. You take a walk with your tough talk. I'll make you kneel. We're corporate partners. I'm just a Manfred boy.
Manfred boy.
I keep playing coy.
Playing coy.
I'm just a Manfred boy.
Manfred boy.
I'm not a C-League boy.
C-League.
Yeah. Eat your heart out, Goodell. Don't you call me a liar.
Time to mow through some colors. Mow. Colors. We're going to mow through those colors like there is nobody business. Mow your boat. That doesn't make sense. Mowing through colors, buddy.
Sid, go ahead. You're on with Adam Schefter, NBA expert.
Coach of the year, who you got?
Coach of the year, who you got?
Right now, Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, go ahead. Mo!
Is Jason Kidd the problem in Milwaukee? Listen, I don't know. They got some young talent. Takes some time to get together. I don't know if he's the problem just yet. I'm not ready to go there.
Ryan, go ahead. Fast.
What would you do to fix the Magic? They've got some issues. I think I trade Vucevic right now, and I go with Biyombo moving forward. Get what I could for Vucevic, a veteran like him. They got some parts there that have some value, and it's just time to start rebuilding.
Kevin, go ahead. Faster.
Will the Bulls make the playoffs?
Ooh.
I like the Bulls. I think they got a chance to eke it out. I'll say yes.
Ty, go ahead. Mo.
You got the most All-Star votes. Who are you choosing first? Kevin Durant. How about that?
That's a pretty good choice. Let's go to Wayne. Wayne, go ahead. Mo.
When are the Kings going to make the playoffs again?
The Sacramento Kings will make the playoffs sometime in about 2023.
Let's go to Mason. Mason, go ahead. You're on with Adam Schefter, ESPN's NBA expert. Mo.
How much longer will the Spurs be around?
The Spurs?
Yes.
They're not going anywhere. They're like the Patriots. They never fade.
One of those morning Zoo Crew radio interviews kind of thing.
Hey,
Yeah.
Zippy and the Juice.
Yeah, they just scream at you for like 10 minutes.
And now you're on with Zippy.
Which one are you, Zippy or the Juice?
Doesn't matter. There's an end there.
A lot of people in America, white privilege at helm. Wait, what? Hangover face. This wacky morning show hijinks thing.
And the Juice.
Zippy and the Juice.
Stand up and white.
They're crazy.
You're not allowed to rip our morning hijinks morning zoo show
They're zany.
and then use it for content while you guys wonder aloud whether or not there's such a thing as standing wiper.
It's Zippy
I finally got the end in this new title.
and the Juice. On ESPN Radio.
Chris Sims joins us now. We heard that you had Blake Bortles ranked as the 70th ranked quarterback in the NFL, and we just wanted to check in with you to find out who is 69th and who is 71st.
So 69, I'd probably go with Austin Davis, the backup quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
And then 71, I'm going to go Cody Kessler of the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Now, can I put this into context of how I got to this conversation a little bit?
No. So who's number 68?
Number 68, I'd have to go with TJ Yates.
Okay. Would you be okay with us calling you every day until we've gotten to number 1?
Holy cow. That's a long time.
Please.
I do have a job, but I think we can manage it. I like you and Stugotz enough to work around my schedule and figure this out. It's the only pain in the butt is I'm going to actually have to figure out my next 67 here.
Okay.
The 67th best quarterback.
It is Cardale Jones, the third-string quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers.
The 66th best quarterback.
Dun, da, da, da. It's Brandon Whedon of the Tennessee Titans.
Wow, man.
The 65th best quarterback.
Da, 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 da. CJ Beathard.
Yeah! All right. So CJ Beathard, the 64th best quarterback in the world.
It is Sean Mannion, backup quarterback, Los Angeles Rams.
All right. Have no idea who that is. Number 63 is
Jake Ruddick, backup quarterback, Detroit Lions.
Wow. Wow, congratulations, Jake.
Wow, way to go, Jake. Number 62. Go, baby.
Cooper Rush, backup quarterback, Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
Number 62.
That's the first time I've heard that name.
Well, the last three names, I've never heard of any of those people. The 61st best quarterback in the world.
Nathan Peterman, Buffalo Bills.
Wow, you've got Peterman being better than Bortles. The 60th best quarterback.
Landry Jones, backup quarterback, Steelers.
Woo! Wow. The 59th best quarterback.
Paxton Lynch, quarterback, Denver Broncos.
Ooh, really?
Wow.
Number 58, Chris Sims.
Matt Castle, Tennessee Titans.
Wow, Matt Castle.
Number 57.
Ryan Mallett, quarterback, Ravens.
Wow. All right, Chris, thank you. We will talk to you tomorrow. Number 56.
Deshaun Kaiser, Cleveland Browns.
Whoa! Number 55.
Brock Osweiler, Denver Broncos.
Come on.
The 54th best quarterback.
Tom Savage, Houston Texans.
Number 53, according to Chris Sims, is
Brian Hoyer, New England Patriots. Bam! Blowing your mind away out here, guys.
The 52nd best quarterback.
Matt Schaub, Atlanta Falcons.
Wow. The 51st best quarterback in the world.
Chad Henne, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wait, he's got their backup quarterback 19 spots ahead of their actual quarterback.
They win the Super Bowl
and
with a
he's
backup.
totally right. 50th best quarterback.
Mark Sanchez, Chicago Bears.
Oh, for the love of God. Oh, for the love of God. Who's 49th?
Teddy Bridgewater, Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. That's low. Number 48.
Kellen Clemens, Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, get out of here. Is he still in the league? He's not still in the league. The 47th best quarterback.
Chase Daniels, New Orleans Saints.
Wow, Chase Daniels. We're up to number 46. What do you got for us, Sims?
Number 46 is E.J. Manuel, backup quarterback, Oakland Raiders.
All right, E.J. Manuel. The 45th best quarterback.
Blaine Gabbert, Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
The 44th best quarterback.
Drew Stanton, Arizona Cardinals.
Number 43.
Matt Moore, Miami Dolphins.
Number 42.
Trevor Siemian, Denver Broncos.
Really? And now the 41st best quarterback.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes. The 40th best quarterback.
Mike Glennon, Chicago Bears.
Wow.
The 39th best quarterback.
Derek Anderson, Carolina Panthers.
Wow. Chris Sims is 38th best quarterback.
Eli Manning, New York Giants.
Wow. That is low. Every time you come on this show, you create a problem that rattles cages and creates more difficulty in your life.
Hey, it's
the
part
37th
of the job.
best quarterback, according to Chris Sims, is
Geno Smith, New York Giants.
Oh my God!
Ahead of Eli.
Ahead of Eli.
You are a genius.
Shocking. Number 36.
Colt McCoy, Washington Redskins.
Oh, wow.
35th ranked quarterback.
Brett Hundley, Green Bay Packers.
Wow. I like it. This list is really getting good now.
The 34th best quarterback through Mina Kimes is...
I do not condone this, but it is A.J. McCarron.
What?
Wow. Wow.
Who said, was it Sims?
That was me. Yeah, what, she doesn't condone this? What?
The 33rd best quarterback in the world.
Nick Foles, Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
The 32nd best quarterback.
Carson Palmer, Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, you limped in with that one. Go ahead and give us your 31st best quarterback.
The Miami Dolphins, Jay Cutler.
Wow.
Wait a second.
Cutler better than Foles.
Cutler's better than the Super Bowl MVP.
Oof. Number 30.
Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs.
Whoa.
Wow.
The 29th best quarterback.
Josh McCown, New York Jets.
Wow. Number 28.
Jacoby Brissett, Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
Ooh, yup. before last season started, this is where I would have put like a Colin Kaepernick.
27th best quarterback in the universe.
Ryan Tannehill, Miami Dolphins.
Wow. Low. Very low. The 26th best quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor, Buffalo Bills.
All right. Wow.
Number 25.
Oh, it's a special day. It's Andy Dalton, Cincinnati Bengals. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's too high. Number 24.
Mitchell Trubisky, Chicago Bears.
Really?
The 23rd best quarterback.
Sam Bradford, Minnesota Vikings.
Perfect, Billy. Yeah, great work, Billy. The 22nd best quarterback.
Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens.
The 21st best quarterback.
Case Keenum, Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. Number 20.
It's Jared Goff, number 20, Los Angeles Rams.
Whoa. The 19th best quarterback in the world is?
Marcus Mariota, Tennessee Titans.
Yes. 18th best quarterback is?
Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
The 17th best quarterback.
Alex Smith, Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
Washington Redskins. I don't know what team he's on right now.
The 16th best quarterback.
Jameis Winston, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow.
15th best quarterback.
Jimmy Garoppolo, 49ers.
Wow. The number 14 best quarterback in the world.
Derek Carr, Oakland Raiders.
Wow. The 13th best quarterback.
Phillip Rivers, Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh. The 12th best quarterback in the universe.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
The 11th best quarterback in the world.
Andrew Luck, Indianapolis Colts.
Oh.
The 10th best quarterback in the world.
Drew Brees, New Orleans.
Number 9 quarterback.
Matt Ryan, the Atlanta Falcons.
Whoa. Wow, man. Wow. The 8th best quarterback in the universe is?
Big Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow. The 7th best quarterback.
Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans.
Wow. The number 6 quarterback in the universe, according to Chris Sims, is?
Cam Newton, Carolina Panthers.
The number 5 quarterback in the universe, according to Chris Sims of Bleacher Report, is?
Matthew Stafford, Detroit Lions. Boom! How you like them apples, Le Batard?
The 4th best quarterback in the universe, according to Chris Sims of Bleacher Report, is?
Tom Brady, New England Patriots.
Whoa! You've gotta be bleeping kidding me! The number 3 quarterback in the universe, according to Chris Sims of Bleacher Report, is?
Carson Wentz, Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, sir. Yes. 30 spots better than his counterpart winning backup Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah. The number 2 quarterback in the universe, according to Chris Sims, is?
Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks. Woo!
So who's number 1?
Number 1 is the greatest quarterback of all time, as you've heard me say before. And that is Aaron Rodgers. I know you like to refer to Tom Brady as the GOAT. Yeah! Number 1 is Aaron Rodgers.
I think after your stupid comments, I might know more about quarterbacks because guess what?
Dave Caldwell isn't making the decision, idiot. It's Tom Coughlin. He's in charge down here now.
Wow.
So what do you say
he was
about
a little
that?
stuck.
Take that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Whoa!
That's fine. Listen, I'm not going to mess with you, but that's just the way I feel. I studied this hard, but I can also tell you that most of the coaches didn't want your job in Jacksonville last year either because they didn't want to deal with Blake Bortles either.
That's
so
true. That's true.
And guess what? Most of those coaches are at home right now watching the playoffs as we play Sunday. Obviously, you better watch the film a little closer.
No.
I did, Tony, I mean, every quarterback in high school football would have hit some of those throws last week. I watched it.
Sims, are you sweating at all? Because I would.
I'm with Sims on
I will
this.
be sweating if I see Tony in person. I promise you I'll be walking the other way.
Right. Sims is right about this. He's got Sean Mannion 6 spots ahead of Blake Bortles, Baselli.
Dan, he is not right. And first of all, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You wouldn't know how to evaluate any football player.
Wait a minute. Baselli, are you still taking checks from the Jaguars? Yes or no?
That has nothing to do with this conversation.
Yes or no? Answer my question, Baselli. Yes or no? You're taking checks personally from Coughlin to do this infomercial stuff, selling Blake Bortles when we all know he stinks.
I can't confirm or deny that I'm taking
I know it. You've been smoked out, Baselli. I got Baselli. You off cartoon egg. I got you. How many millions are they paying you to be Baghdad Brewski and sell your soul to defend Blake Bortles when you know very well that he stinks? Say it before we get out of here. I want to bully the bully. Baselli, admit on the paycheck that you have from the Jags that Bortles stinks. Say it.
No, he's not great.
Baghdad Baselli! I am top of the food chain, greatest you've ever seen, and I just showed it to you last goddamn season, and you took the ball out of my hands in fourth down at the end of the season, and you want me to keep coming back to this bullshit as LeBron James runs his sport. Like, you!
Yeah, that's why you're my mother right there. I agree, okay? 100%.
Please cut it up for me. I just want Chris to hear before he leaves what he sounded like when he said that.
I think he nailed it.
Okay.
No, I think also, you're just looking at me and you're judging a book by its cover a little bit. You're like, oh, there's Johnny, white guy with the hair combed over and he's all buttoned up. And what I want to go is say, hey, you, I'm from Jersey. You don't know what I'm all about.
All right,
That's
so then, so are you or are you not my mother?
My mother until the day we die.
Okay.
You are my mofo.
Can we escalate to this to a point where you and I are such mother that I'm tattooing your initials into my body and you're tattooing mine into yours because we're mother like that mother.
Baby. How about me and you, Sims? Let's start with me and you. Huh?
No chance am I ever getting anything of you on my body. No chance.
I'm a rookie. I'm in the facility for one of the first times ever in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers just won the Super Bowl a few months before that. I go into Gruden's office. He says hello to me. He goes, hey, make sure you get around and introduce yourself to the veteran players. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I bust into the locker room. I look ahead of me. Straight ahead, 12 o'clock, Warren Sapp's locker. I'm like, oh, great. I've been wanting to meet Warren Sapp.
Oh, no.
I stick out my hand. He goes, get the hell out of my face. Don't even talk to me until you've won a game. And just totally knocked the cool out of my walk. But then from there on, made me his rookie Hayes. And I was his cracker. That's what he called me. Okay? You like that?
Wow.
And I always had to have a can of Skol on me at all times. And I had to carry his bags up to his room the day before a game on road trips. And then he would throw a 20 on the floor like I was too prideful to pick it up. And I picked it up every time.
Attaboy!
But he'd look at me and he'd walk in a meeting room and go, hey, cracker, and I'd have to throw him a can of Skol. Always had it on me except one time, and that was a fearful moment.
Wait a minute, what happened the one time you didn't have it on you?
So the one time I didn't have it on me, we're playing the Redskins, and I wake up that morning and I look in my bag and I go, oh no, I got no cans of Skol. Holy cow. What am I going to do? And we have team breakfast, and I'm going, okay, well, I'm just going to wait in my room until the last 5 minutes of team breakfast. Hopefully Sapp's not in there. I'll go in, I'll eat, and I'll get on the bus and try to avoid him. So I hide. He's not in the room. I go down there. I eat breakfast. I'm in the corner. I'm going, oh, man, I'm going to make it. And all of a sudden, right as I'm getting done with my meal, comes through the door. Hey, Cracker! And he holds out his hand like he wants me to throw him something. I just look at him like a beaten puppy, and I just shake my head like, no. Oh, my gosh, he berated me with 4-lettered words and just embarrassed me in front of the whole team. But now looking back on it, a great moment.
Terry Bradshaw is with us here. Again, as Stugotz said, Fox NFL Sunday is where you catch him, 4-time Super Bowl champion. I've seen you nude. Quite
a sight. Quite a sight.
Yeah.
Is there any good story that you could tell us from failure to launch and you being nude when you did that scene? Was it uncomfortable? Were there what happened?
No, here's the story. So the director Tom Day comes to me and says, when I read for that part, failure to launch, and I actually got it. I did lie. I did get a role. I did get the role for two movies by reading. But anyway, he said, look, there's a scene where we're going to have a naked room, and now you have a choice. We know that you're Baptist and a Christian, and your family might not approve, but we would prefer you be naked or otherwise wear some boxer shorts. And I said, whoa, boy, my mom and dad would not approve of me being naked. He says, okay, we won't worry about it. It's going to be the last day of the shoot. So I go down to New Orleans. I'm there 6 weeks filming the movie. So we've got the scene in the naked room. And so Tom Day comes to me. He says, have you given it any thought? I said, well, you know what? This will be my last movie I ever do. And I think it would be really fun to be naked in the movie because nobody expects me to go naked in a movie. He says, now obviously they're not going to show, your private parts, but he says, we're going to shoot this thing and we're going to shoot it low and go up over your butt. And then you'll end up behind the fishbowl and we'll shoot and da-da-da-da-da. I said, all right. So he says, okay, go back and we're set up. So I go back to my trailer to get my robe, and I look on my bed, and there's 3 penis socks. One is about 18 inches long, one is about 12 inches long, and one is about 4 inches long. And I'm looking, and I'm going, you have got to be kidding me. I got to pick one of these and put on my penis. And I went, holy cow. Now, if I take the big one, everybody in the world knows that that's just no way that's possible. I got horses that couldn't fill that thing out. So I said, if I take the little one, they're going to laugh at me because it's not very long. And I know the wardrobe people are going to gather around and go, so which one did he go? Which one did he go with? Obviously, I went with the middle one. And I put that stupid thing on. I got up there to do the scenes, and I had a penis sock on, and I've never been more uncomfortable in my life. So when Matthew comes out around, I do my scenes in wearing the penis sock, and they go, cut. Now it's time to turn the cameras around and do Matthew McConaughey. And so they got the camera over my shoulder, and Matthew comes in, and he sees me naked. Well, he sees me naked, and we do the lines, and he tells Tom Day, hey, it just doesn't work for me because I had on boxers. I went and put boxers on then. By then, he goes, can he, put the penis sock back on? And I told the director, I'm not putting that penis sock back on. You just tell Matthew that I'll make sure that he gets the shock he wants. So when he came up in the one take, I pulled my boxers down, grabbed my stuff, and shook it at him. And that's the take that we use. And if you'll look at that movie, you'll see McConaughey doing everything he can not to crack up laughing. He gets a cracking smile on his face. That's the story. So to me, that's classic for a movie.
Yes!
That is the best 3 minutes of my life. The best 3 minutes of my life. We will end the interview on that note. Good talking football with you, Terry. Fox NFL Sunday. That was stand up, everybody. Stand up. Terry. Yeah!
You've been working on a movie with Ed Helms and Owen Wilson, Ving Rhames, J.K. Simmons, and do you have a penis sock story from there? Do you have a great story from there?
No, I didn't get naked in that movie. It's one of the few times that I've done television movies or movies that I didn't get naked. In the show I do for NBC, Better Late Than Never, I've already been naked in 3 shows. Totally naked. In a nude park in Stockholm. Get this, in the middle of the park, there is about 10 acres for nudity. You can sunbathe out there. And then around the center of the park is all the families with picnic tables, barbecuing, and they all stay on the outside, and the nude people stay on the inside.
What?
And so I went to a car or station wagon or something, and sure enough, I just peeled all my clothes off and walked out there, and I had a hot dog in my hand they gave me for this scene, and I walked up to Shatner and Winkler and Foreman, and they went, "Oh my God!" And you can see this; it's so funny. I felt really good though, because it's just something about being naked.
Right, hold on. I've got so many questions, Terry.
I get this, but being a people person that I am, and with my hot dog, there were 2 men sitting on a blanket.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I went over to them and I said, "Do y'all mind if I join?" And they said, "No, sit down."
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on a second, Terry. Wait, what's going on in your life?
I don't know. Hey, when you got a body like this, you just got to show it off.
That's right, Terry.
Hold on, Terry. You showed up at a picnic where 2 people were. You had only a hot dog on you?
I had a hot dog. That's it.
No socks, no shoes,
no sock.
Okay,
that's it.
And you just walked right up to him and you said,
asked if I could sit down.
Can I join you? Can I join you?
And they said yes. But being also a giver, I said, "Would y'all like a bite of my wiener?" Oh, my God.
Terry, I love you.
Look, you're still 12 years old, Terry. Terry,
don't change,
Terry,
man.
how is it possible that you're still 12 years old?
I don't know, but I'm glad I am.
All right. Well, I heard you were parasailing nude, too.
Oh, please say that's true.
Yeah, I took my shorts off. They were cutting into my crotch, and so I took my shorts off and just pitched them out while I was flying in the air. Not a good moment.
Terry, why are you always naked in public?
Like I told you got a body like this.
You mentioned that.
To see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, but hold on a second. Have you had any more awkward penis sock stories, or are you just full naked? You're not even doing penis.
He's done with the penis sock.
You're not doing any penis socks anymore?
No more penis socks. I don't ever want to put a penis sock on again.
Terry, you've graduated to porn. Like it feels like you are always nude.
No, I'm. You know what? I live on a ranch, and then we have 2 bathrooms in the house on our side. I still will get out of the chair and go outside and pee in the yard.
That a boy.
Thank you.
Why? Why do I do that?
I don't know.
When I had my daughter, I'd walk outside and I'd pee in the backyard, and I didn't realize she was walking with me. She's like 2 years old, and I'm sitting there peeing, and so she says, "Well, look, I'll pee with Daddy." And so she tilted her shoulders back and she let her rip.
Let her rip. All right, so she is Daddy's daughter. This is what I want to ask you. Thank you, Terry, because to speak to your inner 12-year-old, I want to know the 3 oddest places where Terry Bradshaw has urinated.
Oh man. Oddest places I've urinated. I got caught the other day on the side of a road.
No, you got caught?
Gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they pulled a trick on me. I had to go so bad. When you're 69 and got prostate issues, you just pee a lot.
Right.
And they pulled the car up. All the jerks, my buddies, they pulled the car up in Hawaii, and there I was standing right there as the car came by. I mean, seriously. And then I turned around and peed all over my pants.
Oh, 3 oddest places you peed.
3 oddest places I've peed. Let me think.
Yep.
We got plenty of time.
Here's one.
All right.
Top of the house.
What?
Top of the house. Peed But I was going to pee over the edge, but I ended up peeing in the gutter, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Top of the house. That's the one I knew for sure.
That's a good one. How about the sink? Ever in the sink? Ever in the sink of the house?
Oh, of course. Of course I've peed in the sink.
Do you even use a bathroom anymore?
I get this. In college, we had a sink, and the bathroom was right outside my door, and I'd get up, my roommate, he'd be asleep, and I'd just get up and pee in the sink. Wash it out good, though.
Terry,
yeah.
when's the last time you peed the traditional way in a toilet?
In a place where a place where human beings.
You mean like go to the bathroom? I hate to hear that noise, that peeing noise when it hits the water.
Yeah.
I don't like that, so I sit down. I have a bad back anyway.
Oh, you're sitting
really?
down. Terry, you are so revealing. You just volunteer everything.
I said, well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleepy. I don't want to stand up there and make all that noise and wake everybody up.
You understand, though, that usually if I say 4-time Super Bowl champion, that's a person who doesn't want to be associated with peeing sitting down.
Well, I really don't care.
Okay, very good.
Maybe everybody. Listen. Maybe everybody else is worried about their image. I think I only enhance mine.
Very good.
I do things that you and everybody else does. Y'all just don't talk about it.
That's right. I love talking to this dude. Keegan-Michael Key has a cool energy about him.
I was leaving my office one day at Sunset Gower Studios, and I went over to visit a friend of mine who was shooting on the TV show The Newsroom with Jeff Daniels. And I'm looking down the way, and I see the beautiful Olivia Munn. She sees me, and I see her, and she beelines for me.
Yes.
And she comes up, she goes, "Hi, I'm Liv, and I'm a big fan of your work." And I said, "And I'm Keegan. I'm a big fan of your work and your face and everything else, and everything else that's standing right here. I'm a big fan of." And then there's this big kind of hulky, kind of hunky guy standing next to her. I'm not paying attention. She goes, "Oh, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend, Aaron." No. All of a sudden, I couldn't care less who Olivia Munn was. I just look at the guy and I go, I don't even say hello. I just go, "NFC North," and then I fall down.
Hello.
Murray!
That's the name.
How you doing?
I'm good. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm good.
You're talking to Stu. You get some golf in today, Mur?
Golf?
Yeah, you play golf today, or?
No, I don't play golf.
No golf. You don't play golf at all?
No, I stopped some years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had issues with my, I had arthritic, problem in my hands and whatever it is, I'm going to be 81 years old, so.
Yeah, that's tough. So what'd you do today? Anything exciting today?
Yeah, I got my hair cut.
Nice.
My dog got his hair cut.
Nice.
I picked him up. How about your day? Tell me about your day.
My day's been great. Where are you, in Philadelphia, Murray?
No.
Where?
Philadelphia. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, I love Charleston, South Carolina. It's one of my favorite cities, South Carolina. It's fantastic. I love Charleston.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Now, you said that Steve.
It's Stu, actually. Yeah, it's Stu. It's Stu, yeah.
Stu?
Yeah.
Which Stu?
Stu. I mean, my name is Stu Wiener.
All right, so now where do we go from there with this conversation?
Well, I need some help, Murray. I really need some help here. So we have this big campaign going on. I work for ESPN, okay? And we have this big campaign going on, and we're trying to get this guy down to Miami, the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, but whatever it is that you're calling me about, that's certainly not my specialty. So how about if I'm polite and I just tell you goodbye?
Well, hold on. No. Well, hold on. What is your specialty, Murray?
My specialty is to not, get hustled. So,
Murray, I swear to you on everything that I have, okay? I'm a nice Jewish boy. I am not here to hustle you. I'm just asking. I just need help with one thing. It's simple. And if you don't want to do it, just hear me out. If you don't want to do it, then we don't do it, okay?
I don't have a lot of time, but why don't you just get to the point?
You're right. So MLB.com. You like baseball?
I follow it enough. Get to your point.
Okay, MLB.com. I just need you to go there, and if you wouldn't mind, vote for Lewis Brinson of the Florida Marlins to make it to the NL All-Star team. That's all I need. That's it. It's free, and that's all you have to do.
I understand. Okay.
I'm not asking for money. I'm not selling anything.
I haven't done that for the Phillies, so I'm not going to do it for the guy from the Marlins. Let me say goodbye, Stu. Thank you.
Murray!
Hey! Yeah, who's this?
Murray.
Who's this?
Hey, Murray, it's Stugotz with ESPN. How you doing?
Who's this?
This is Stugotz. I work with ESPN. How you doing?
I don't even know you. Who do you want?
I want Murray. Murray, you there?
Who is this?
This is Stugotz with ESPN, Murray. Where are you, in an airport? What's going on?
I don't know who's there. I don't know who this is. Goodbye.
All right, Murray. Murray.
We're now in a full-blown war with the Baldwin family.
What?
The Baldwin brothers, it has escalated to an unreasonable place. I asked which is the fat one, and this apparently set off fireworks throughout the Baldwin family. Fireworks that, you imagine the Baldwins, they settle things with their fists, even, the brothers.
Daniel Baldwin tried to join our show yesterday. We declined rapidly.
Which one did we decide Daniel Baldwin was?
4.
The bad one.
4.
And the
4.
fat one.
No.
What happened there?
Don't do that.
What? What did I do?
Fourth one is enough of a...
This is what got us into this mess. This is what got us into this mess to begin with. The Baldwin brothers are all mad at us, evidently. I don't even know because we don't know.
All of the Baldwin brothers?
We don't know who Daniel is, and because we think that it has been said that we think all of them are the fat one.
So we learned throughout this entire thing, through just casual content, folks. This is a content factory down here.
Oh, yeah.
We learned that Daniel Baldwin does a radio show in Syracuse, in ESPN Syracuse.
Great show.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic show.
Awesome.
ESPN 97.7.
Impeccably produced. Great job.
Yeah. And he does this sports talk show, and he led the show yesterday with the drama.
This is the Daniel Baldwin Show.
Hello. And welcome to the big show. We're waiting for Josh to come back in the studio. We were on, this show was on from 3 to 4 in the afternoon here in Syracuse and downloaded worldwide, of course. And it turns out that because of doing the morning show, we asked the great one, Ed Levine, if we could move this show from 10 to 11 to accommodate Josh and my schedule. And we did so, which put us on against the Dan Le Batard Show. Yesterday, is this yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, the Le Batard Show was trash talking. I mean, it would be considered trash talking, no?
No.
That's not trash talking?
No, I think that's just their show.
Who's the fat one is not trash talking?
Oh, see? I told you that's where it started. But I'm blaming Stugotz, but I'm pretty much the fat one, the one who started it.
You did. You did.
Yes,
And he got on you for your Alec Baldwin take, saying that he's never carried a movie, really.
Wait a minute. That's his own brother's words. I was quoting him from a New Yorker article.
Daniel disagrees with you, man.
He disagrees with something his brother said? I don't believe. Look, man, this all started because Alec Baldwin is on my bucket list of guests. I've been wanting to talk to that dude for 10 years. I find him fascinating. I find
You've hurt your chances.
Uncommonly honest.
Probably not going to happen.
I find him uncommonly honest, but his other brothers, outside of the usual suspects, there's not a lot of work there that people aren't making fun of.
His producer, Daniel Baldwin's producer, seems to be on our side a little bit in sort of explaining this, because this is about family right now. You've crossed a brotherhood right now. This is a really strong bond. I mean, you opened his eyes to something about his brother Billy that he had no idea.
I think they're pretty complimentary of your brother going forward.
Well, they go back and forth. They're yin yang. Come on, they're saying that he's...
Billy was the one that always looked like he was waking up. Like, what?
So Billy's the beautiful Baldwin. Billy was in a movie with
Fair Game.
Cindy Crawford.
Fair Game.
Was that here in Miami?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, that is the guy I'm talking about. That is the handsome one. That is the handsome Baldwin, is it not?
Yes. The one who could barely open his eyes.
That's right. Looks sedated all the time. Does Billy Baldwin always look sedated? Put it on the poll, Guillermo.
Does Billy always look sedated?
Billy always looks sedated. I've never heard anyone say that. It's just 30 years of acting, and I've never heard anyone mention that Billy always looks sedated.
I went to the poll after they do polls on Twitter, and it was 85% of the people listening to the show agreed with it.
That Billy always looks sedated. Wow, maybe I'm just so out of the loop that I don't realize how sedated Billy is.
Wow, we've got a rebel in there infiltrate. The producer there, that's a young guy who actually knows our show. We've got to protect that rebel. Don't reveal that to anyone like I just did.
But we have all sorts of developments, Dan. I guess we'd like to imagine that there's a group text amongst the Baldwin brothers, and I like to think they're texting about you over the last couple of days quite frequently. In fact, Daniel's doing a show today, and Alec is joining his show to discuss this war.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I admire Alec Baldwin. I bought his biography.
Right.
Daniel?
Daniel's real eager to tell us about his 30 years of acting experience that none of us remember, huh?
Well, I'm not sure if that was Billy's or his. Again, you're escalating this to a point. I think he was talking about Billy.
Yeah. He's not talking about Steven? He's not happy with you.
But there's even more of an exciting development, you guys.
What happened?
And I just got this email
Talk to
like
me.
a minute ago.
Talk to us.
no.
Let's go.
Daniel's so eager to join the show and address you man to man that he is considering organizing a conference call of all the Baldwins just to tell you how wrong you are.
Oh, boy.
However,
Oh, boy.
this opens up a whole can of worms because I've learned all the Baldwins sound identical.
Oh, no.
Oh, right. But
Yeah.
the other can
So
of worms it opens up, Mike, is that we said that none of the Baldwins were welcome on our show unless it was Alec.
Well,
correct?
again, not we. You did.
No, you
Right.
did. I had no to do.
I only said no to Daniel. I was a hard no on Daniel.
But if Daniel comes with Alec attached, then we are.
But how do you know if it's Alec or Daniel? It could be all Daniel.
How? Why?
The conference calls could be, hello, this is Alec, and I'm also Alec, and I'm Steven. No, I'm Billy. I'm Steven. I'm Daniel. I'm Alec. You're wrong. You who said that? I did. Who's I? Alec, Daniel, William, Billy, Steven, Doug.
He's not that good of an actor.
Doug Baldwin? That's what they say about Doug
No,
Baldwin.
the fat one.
Oh, God. That's what they say about Doug Baldwin, the receiver.
I've lost a lot of pounds. Who said that? I did. Who's I? Steven. No. William. No. Doug. No. Daniel. It's Alec. Alec Baldwin. I did. Everyone else is fat. I'm not. Daniel. Fat. Steven. Fat. Doug. Black. What is he on this call for? Seahawk. 30 years of acting experience. What we're doing is very rude.
It's so rude.
An iconic
I'm never going to get Alec this way. What Dan is doing.
I can't believe
because he's putting everybody in this awkward position where they have to worry about content, and I'm crossing the line where I'm no longer a decent human being because I'm just representing you and your true feelings.
Yeah, him being a jerk is your fault. Dan's feelings.
I mean, when they're right, they're right. All right. Who do I have to apologize to? You guys or the Baldwin?
Me, Steven, no. Alec, no. Daniel, no.
Which one are you?
I'm all of them.
The fat one?
Oh, Dan.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Clinton Yates, Ryan Hollins filling in here on a Friday. We are joined by Josh Duhamel, former star of All My Children, currently going to be starring in the next Transformers film.
Josh, you're going to have to forgive me for this because I'm going to ask you a real edgy question.
Okay.
But you're my guy, okay?
Go
Do
for
not
it.
forget, you're my guy. You might be on my wall at home, okay?
Okay.
You're
all
my
right.
guy.
Love it. You're my guy, too. You're on my wall.
This hurt my feelings as a real fan, and I know that it wasn't meant to be taken in this way, but I felt like in the Transformers before, there were some robots that said some real, as an African-American male, I felt said some taken as racist and edgy things, or just the way that they spoke was supposed to be, I guess, in a sense of an African-American or depict a hip-hop culture, and I was like, that is so not what hip-hop is, and I'm not saying that it was meant in that way, but it personally, my feelings were hurt. Now, I can't speak for everybody else, but I just felt like it was a bad take. I don't know if they came off as entertaining, but as an African-American male, myself, I was taken back by that, but I still love the series. Maybe can you break that down? I'm sure you've heard about it too, or had some, possibly some small backlash from it.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, we're talking about robots. How could we possibly make this racist?
No, I hear, but what I'm saying is every robot, every character depicts something or somebody, or
what?
even the hit, the way it was taken.
I understand. I do understand what you're saying, and yeah, there's that's a question for Michael. I think that there are certain sort of inflections in certain voices and whatever that could have been taken as, okay, now you're generalizing.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but I don't think it was ever meant to be taken personally or anything like that, but I'm sorry if you're offended.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes, Mike?
Have you ever had a fireside conversation during a football Sunday during the winter?
Sure. We don't have a lot of fireplaces down here, but I've had the premise of it.
I wish I could, but it's South Florida. When it gets down to the 60s, we're like, we're bundled up, but certainly no fireplace. It's still too warm for that. But we do have our football Sundays. And one thing that always makes football Sundays good, and I know you've had plenty of experience in your life with this, Miller time.
Oh, yeah.
Miller Lite makes the winter better. It makes football Sundays better. It makes even hanging out around you better.
Thanks, Mike. That was kind.
I appreciate that. You're my friend. When I have a Miller Lite in my hand, pretty much everybody is my friend because we are like-minded. Because we like beer that actually tastes like beer. Oh, and now, the new year, it's the perfect time to have a Miller time. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. People out there, I want you to listen to me. And Jeremy, you too. Because you know, it hits just different than other light beers. The original light beer since 1975, and still the very best one. Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Folks, the playoff season is here, and the only thing better than the game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums Foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing times. Visit DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let the heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites, featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok.